We're going to transition, and as I said, it's going to be a gradual transition because our next inductee, and you may not, Brent would know this, and a few others might remember, he may have been a better basketball player in high school than he was a football player. 27 a game. And I'll bet he probably had some thoughts about, hooping it up in college, and I'm sure Nichols at least wanted that to happen. But the allure of Tiger Stadium proved too powerful, and LSU fans are forever grateful. He is still, more than two decades later, almost 25 years later, the career passing leader at LSU, and there's never been a quarterback who's led LSU to more clutch victories, including that Southeastern Conference championship season in 1988. One year I covered LSU, they won the SEC championship. I held that over Herb Benson for years. But I had nothing to do with it. Tommy Hodson had everything to do with it. Tommy Hodson.
Thank y'all. Thanks for having me. Certainly appreciate all the sports writers voting for me, and it's a great honor. I was just flipping through all the people who are in the Hall of Fame, and like, what am I doing here? So anyway, I'll open it up for questions.
Tommy, talk about the choice coming out of high school, basketball, football.
Basketball and football. My dad was a basketball player, played a little bit at Nichols, and was a basketball coach. And just growing up, we were a basketball family. I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. We all kind of played basketball. And we were the Hodson family on Bayou Lafourche was known for basketball. And my dad said, "Well, you should be about 6'2", 6'3" when when you finish growing. So you're going to be a point guard." And he coached me a lot growing up. So I got to shoot a lot when Pops is the coach. Son gets to shoot a lot. And so when you shoot a lot, if you're decent, you score a lot. So I was never shy about shooting, so my average was pretty good growing up. But once I got to Central Lafourche, I met Bob Groh, who was my high school football coach, and he said, "I really think you're going to have a better chance to play football." And I was a football fan growing up too, and I played both sports. When you grow up in a small town, you play them all: run track, basketball, football. And so I really caught the fever when I was a junior in high school and decided to make that transition over to football. My senior year, I made the decision I was going to play football. And when LSU recruited me, growing up in South Louisiana, LSU was king, and LSU football is really king, really big. So I decided to play football for LSU, and I really never looked back. I still enjoy playing basketball when I get a chance. My daughter just finished playing. She was a pretty decent player in 5A basketball. So I enjoy it. It's a great sport. But football really came calling, and glad I made the decision.
So when you got to LSU, did you have any idea that I'm going to start as a freshman?
Well, it worked out good. Stan Humphries was a quarterback there, got recruited there, and he was in between Jeff Wickersham and myself. And when he left and went over to Northeast Louisiana at the time, that left a gap there. So I really didn't think about it. Anybody who knows me knows I'm kind of just whatever. I don't really care about much. I just got to do my deal. And so I wasn't really thinking. I was just thinking, man, I get to go to LSU. There's 20,000 people there, a bunch of girls, and man, this is going to be great. And so I go to school there, and like I say, the competition was open. Jeff Wickersham had just graduated, so I redshirted my first year. I actually had surgery on my elbow. Came back in the spring of '86, competed for the job, won the job in the fall, and didn't really solidify that starting spot. I started the first 3 or 4 games, but didn't really solidify that spot until the Kentucky game of my freshman year, and everything kind of took off from there.
So what does this weekend mean to you? You said you couldn't believe you were here. What does this mean?
Well, this is awesome because I'm born and raised here. I played at Central Lafourche High School. Well, first of all, I played at Lockport Junior High Pirates, Central Lafourche High School. I played for LSU, and I played for the New Orleans Saints. So, and I live in Baton Rouge. So I'm Louisiana through and through. I had a chance to live in Massachusetts when I played for the Patriots, and I enjoyed my time there. I love the state, and I like the people there. But I've always said I'm a Southerner, and I belong in Louisiana. And I just enjoy the climate. As hot as it gets, I still like it. I'd rather when it's hot than cold. So for me to be here with all the great players that are on that roster or that lineup is just unbelievable. It's a tremendous honor for me. I'm just you and you and you and you. I'm as average, just plain as you can get. I grew up in a big Catholic family. My mom and dad have been together for 50 years, 50 plus years. I mean, I'm just regular Joe, and I'm here, so it's just kind of shocking to me.
Were you kind of like Jimmy and speaking with your teammates in New England, maybe, hey, we got the best guy at Louisiana, we got the best football players. Did y'all ever get into any of those debates?
No, because they knew we had the best guys. Most guys that I played with and had a lot of friends from USC, Penn State, Notre Dame. The South is really dominant in football now, the Southeastern Conference in particular. Wasn't so much then. You had Nebraska, Oklahoma, Miami when I was in school. They kind of dominated the landscape. But everybody always knew that the South had all the best football players.
Tommy, what about like when you were in New England, you had a chance to go up, the Saints went up there and played a game, and had to go head-to-head against Bobby Hebert. I mean, it's kind of ironic. Two guys grew up maybe 20 miles, towns are 20 miles apart, got to play in the NFL against one another.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat story. You said the Patriots played the Saints, and the Saints played at our place. And I grew up a Saints fan, so I know all of Guido Merkins, Tony Galbraith, Chuck Muncie, Archie Manning. I know all those guys. That's what I grew up with, and I was always a Saints fan. So to play the Saints at New England was kind of special for me. We both started, and they were so much better than we were, and they crushed us that day. But it was neat just to line up against the Saints, and then a few years later get to play with the Saints. So it was a good time.
Tommy, the atmosphere for college football is obviously still there, just like it has been. Talk about, you play on the road in the SEC, which the SEC 20 years ago is still pretty similar to what it is now. Talk about how difficult it is, the crowd against you, calling plays, changing plays. It's a lot to try to worry about.
It is. You all have probably covered most of Southeastern Conference games, so you've been on the road. You've been in these stadiums, and they're really loud. They're big. They're getting bigger. Florida, I can remember. Just Florida stands out. They had artificial turf back then, so the noise just bounced. It was so hot. And we played at 1 o'clock it was an Eastern time game, and I just remember it being so loud, so hot, and. Every state, it never got better. I mean, you go to Georgia, you go to Alabama, played at the Iron Bowl and played in Tuscaloosa, played at Auburn, played all over. They're all loud. You just think, okay, well, Tennessee can't be any louder than Florida or any louder than Alabama, but they're just all, I mean, once you get to a certain point, it's deafening. And we're on, what's that?
None of them stood out anymore. They were all pretty equal.
They were all great. I mean, and Texas A&M wasn't in the conference then, but they are now, and their stadium's really loud too. So there's just great venues to play. They're all unique. They're all a little different, and I'm glad to say I think I've played in all of them, the teams that were in the conference then, except for Vanderbilt. So I guess I wasn't missing a whole lot there, but all the stadiums are great. It's great to play there.
So what about Tiger Stadium Saturday night?
Tiger Stadium's awesome. It's great. They recruit all over now, so you got guys that are coming from all over the country that play there that don't understand the history when they first got there. For me, really didn't grow up a huge fan, but learned the tradition and the history, and all my buddies, and they just loved LSU and all that stuff. So I got to learn all those stories, and it's special because we played at night. ESPN used to carry us, and we used to play at night quite a bit. It's kind of changed now, but just coming there, the fans have been partying all day, and they love the Tigers, you know. And like I say, everybody's a little unique. Tiger Stadium is definitely unique and has some great traditions, and you know, the greatest fans in the country.
So how much as a player, as a college student, did you allow yourself to get caught up in that spirit, that tradition, or do you just try to go and play ball and think about that stuff after you're done?
I was playing golf the other day, and a guy, he joined up with us, and he said, what was it like playing at Tiger Stadium? What does it feel like? I said, you played high school football? He said, yes. I said, it feels the same way. I said, because you got as much pride in what you do and what you're trying to accomplish, and you're trying to play well, all that stuff. We just play in front of more people, but we're still trying to win for the guys that you're sweating with, bleeding with, and I'm sure it's like that for everybody here. You have to block out all that stuff, that exterior stuff. It's awesome that there are 80, 90,000 people after the game that really appreciate what you do that night. That's what makes it extra special to play for LSU. But when the whistle blows, when the horn goes off, all that in between the lines, you're just thinking about, I got to play ball tonight. I got to do what I've prepared to do all week, and just do it well.
So how awesome was it when a couple days later you found out the Earth moved?
Yeah, that's great. I think it's actually longer than a couple of days because the story's gotten legs, and it's they've blown it up quite a bit since then. But it's great. Now, LSU's been playing football for a long time, and you know, the Billy Cannon run, Bert Jones throwing the pass with no time on the clock or whatever, or putting time back on the clock to Brad Davis, just to be part of those stories, to be one of, you know, maybe 5 or 6 stories in LSU football history, and you think about how long they've been playing. It's great. We appreciate it. I know Eddie Fuller loves it. We get together and we sign autographs for each other because somebody wants a ball signed or a hat signed or something like that. So it's great. It's great for my kids. They get to go to LSU, and their pop threw a touchdown pass a long time ago. I don't know if he was any good, but he threw this pass and the earth shook, and so it's it's great for them to ask me about it. So it's a good story, man. I'm glad to have been a part of it.
Talk about that season, though. You guys won the Southeastern Conference.
We did win the Southeastern Conference Championship in 1988. It was a tough year. It was a transition. We'd lost some great players: Wendell Davis, Eric Anasek, Nacho Abogamo, a lot of guys on offense. So we had to regroup, and guys like Tony Moss. Tony Moss is from around here, or very close. He was a great player on that team. They moved him over from running back to wide receiver, and he made some awesome plays. And Eddie Fuller's from Kevin Wise country. Yeah, Wampus Cat. And he was a big part of that team. So a lot of people ask me about the plays or the games or the championships or whatever. The things that always come to my mind are the teammates and the players that I play with. The great personalities that they all had. And those are my lasting memories. I mean, and we all had to live in Broussard Hall, so we all had to get along, and we learned to get along. And it wasn't segregated. So we learned to all get along, and it was awesome, And we got a lot of great stories and memories from 1988, but more so from Broussard Hall.
So the pro ball experience ends. How do you assess what happened to Tommy Hodson?
Well, when you leave professional sports, and it's probably true for most of the guys and anybody that's ever played. It's what we love. It's kind of what we grow up doing. It's just all we can think about. And then all of a sudden they tell you, well, you're not good enough to play anymore, and you need to move on. And my parents always said, look, you got to have something else to do after you finish playing ball. You got to find something else you like. Now, I will say it takes a while to find it because there's nothing that can match the thrill of sports or the agony of defeat or whatever. There's nothing that matches the highs and the lows. So I bounced around and have a great friend, and my business partner is Jamie Howard. He asked me to, we started an agency, a manufacturer's representative company, and we represent electrical manufacturers. We sell to utility companies, Entergy, Cleco, Dimco, used to sell to Valley before they sold to AEP. Just companies like that, we sell product to them. And so it's been, and I've been doing that for 9 years and very happy, and been able to raise my family with it and send them to school and all that stuff. So, but it took me a little while to find that, and certainly happy now, and it's been great for the whole ride's been great, so it's always been good.
You and Kevin were very close together at LSU.
A little older. I'm a little older, so we treated those pups not so good, probably. We were probably a little rough on them, but Kevin was always a great player. I can remember, the coaches, they start looking at your feet. They always talk about your feet. Can this guy move? Can he run? Whatever. And that's all. They always said Kevin had great feet, and that's why he was going to be a great pro. And they were right. And this, I'm sure, won't be the last Hall of Fame induction that he goes through, because he'll be in the NFL Hall of Fame one day. I'm pretty sure of it, and or he deserves it. And I was telling him before, I said, if you look at the guys that get in, it's awesome. That list is awesome. If you look at that second tier that don't get in, they're awesome too. They're unbelievable. But I expect him to be in the first tier. So, but he was a great player then. We knew it, and then he proved us all right playing in the NFL.
As I remember, Scooter probably does too. You were hanging out with the offensive line.
Oh yeah, I hung out with Eric Andlesek and Ruffin Rodrigue were my buddies, and like I say, man, we did ball stuff and all that, but Ruffin took care of me. Ruffin's parents took care of me. They were like my second parents, and Ruffin took me everywhere. His dad always had the nice car for him, and he always invited to all the cool parties and all that stuff. So I just hook up with him, and he loved bringing me around too. It was good for him. So we hung out together. Eric and I hung out together. All three of us were Bayou Lafourche guys. So we played against each other since 3rd grade. So we just had a natural bond there.
Tommy Hodson.
Thank you.